grades, even though you're in the midst of things that are constantly changing.
Yep.
Situations, okay, it can go in any direction, right? So, Joe, what are some things that can change in people's lives?
Something major happened to your loved ones. Uh, Something pop up. So
Got it.
right.
You guys.
Maybe like a change of place, a change of environment, a change of people. Yeah.
Yep.
So those are
Um,
the changes could happen. Say if you change to a new school, if your teacher get changed for the subject that you like.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Change the syllabus for your exams.
Yeah.
The smaller ones would be like Joe mentioned just now. They ask a question that you probably never studied before in your exam paper.
Yes.
You don't even know
Probably
where.
you have a lot of tapes on particular topics, but then exam questions come out the other one.
Yeah, I really hated that when the government school. Well, I mean, because I was in government school, so I really hated that when they do that, just so that they will scare you into studying harder
Yeah.
for the exams. Like, because we had major exams, now they've abolished it.
Mm,
Standard six, we had. So that's like standard six would be like grade six, yeah,
yeah,
for
UPSR.
overseas, yeah. So we have a major exam there, yeah, that we have to study for.
Yep.
Doesn't mean anything, but it's like kind of like there to force you to study. Yeah. Sorry, guys. We're quite irreverent about traditional schooling systems. In
We've
case you
been
haven't
there.
noticed, we're blatantly irreverent about it,
Mm,
meaning that we don't really care for it.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we started. We started like oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My alert.
Notification.
Well, and that's why we started the schools that we did, because we felt that education needs to change. We couldn't, like, it was not nice to for students to come out, because my mom, the founder, realized that it's not nice for students to come out into the world and not be prepared for it, because she
Mm,
taught at the college level, and it didn't make sense to her that after 11 years of learning English, right, that
yep.
majority of the students don't have the English capability to handle college and university level work. Yeah.
Um,
So, and then we suffered through school, hated it, and so therefore Joe and I had the fun division of the school, fun technological division. Basically, we design, now we're designing notes for lazy people, and I call it that because it really is for lazy people. I'm a lazy person when it comes to studying. And then yeah, we're designing educational comics, and then we also designed a chemistry adventure game as well. Basically, to take away the grind of studying, because learning should be fun, but unfortunately, it's not. Oh, hey, I
it's
forgot.
not fun most of the
I'm surprised you could hear me, Joe. I probably sounded really far away.
time. I can hear you.
Oh, hello.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. It's for today. All right, so if you guys are joining us today, give us a shout out. And if you like what you're hearing so far, we have plenty of tips on how to survive the traditional education system, and we are here to help. Basically, we're trying to create an escape from all the struggle and the pain of studying, because that's what I created for myself.
Yeah.
And that's why we have Studio E that designs products that takes away the struggle of studying. Because yeah, it's something you do like 8 hours a day, man. So I was in our school. You'll find that our kids have fun with the lessons, because it's very interactive. You're not listening to the teachers like sit down, tell you to sit down. You're not listening to the teachers all day.
Yeah.
We make you guys get up. We make our students get up and do things, because you learn best by doing. So in our previous videos, we talked about the cone of learning, where that increases the retention, and you have a heck of a good time
Yep.
trying to figure out some of the things that we throw at you. Of course, it's not for everyone, especially if you're very shy, I guess. But you always do it. But the thing is that when you guys go out to work, it's
You're,
exactly that.
yeah.
You get thrown things to do that you're not familiar with, for sure. Yeah. So yes. All right. So moving on, I'm Erica, and this is Joe. I did a bit of a very unorthodox introduction there, but we are teachers who hated studying because memorizing just did not work for us. And today's Imagine Notes episodes, we tend to juggle between actually teaching you how to do a note, so so that you can be lazy and still get good grades. I think that's the most easy way to say it. And then we also do study tips and and hacks. These are things that my students pay the most attention to
Mm.
when I'm teaching in class. In fact, some of them drag it too far. They'll ask questions to see how much they can distract me before we actually get into the lesson.
How much they can get teachers annoyed.
Yeah, I'm not really annoyed, but so much as like, let's see how long we can make teacher Erica talk about the interesting stuff, and
Mm,
not the exam stuff. So
right.
I fell for it once. It's that dumb. I was just like, guys, stop it. So it becomes a game. Yeah, but that's what happens when you have students who can think and
Mm,
and we have an environment where you are allowed to ask questions. Yeah, we don't. How do you say? We don't like.
it's a safe environment to ask questions.
Yeah, we're not gonna laugh at you or say that's a stupid question or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like I'm going to keep you like keep asking you to keep quiet in the class, sit still,
Yeah. Yeah.
pick up your pen, copy the notes on the board. Oh my god, that sounds so boring. How did we survive?
Somehow, like I really hated waking up for school. I really hated it. Every day I would dread it. Yeah. And it got to a point where I was just like dreading it so much, like I kind of cannot really sleep the night before. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because yeah, I mean, it's not just I think science is not just about the what you might call it, the studying. That's one layer, and then
Mm,
what happens when things go south with your friends.
yeah.
Yeah, that's also another thing. Yeah.
Mm,
So yeah, so that's another change, guys, and I think that's quite a major change for a lot of high schoolers.
true.
Yeah, a lot of teens, right? When you have a falling out with your friends, or
Mm.
the worst is, say you let your best friend in on a secret, and then the person who told you the secret finds out about it, and that's it.
Same,
You get
same.
alienated, or people don't trust you, and it just gets blown out of proportion.
Mm,
Yeah. So, high school.
yeah, high school, high school dramas.
Yes.
Okay, guys, if you like our videos, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Or you can follow us on our social media as well. While Erica is drawing,
Yes, I'm just writing this on the page here so that we all know. I should have done this before,
you
so
can
that we know
just
where we're at.
comment below, like if you have any questions or you have a better way to make this happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, how do you cope with change in particular? So, we're going to start with the big picture of this idea of change. And then, so by the end of this video, what you're going to get is the big picture on how to really like think about change.
Mm,
Because, like it or not, it's something that we're not comfortable with.
yep.
The other thing you'll get also is basically some tips on how to manage or cope with it. And finally, we will just wrap up the show.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's it.
Cool. Cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the reason why we're doing this is because like schools were closing and opening again, and then now after a war with a virus, like Russia has decided to go to war with Ukraine. Really, really sucks because it puts us all in a big state of uncertainty. Because what if it doesn't stay contained
Yeah.
at Russia? And it does impact us as well on many levels, because it drove oil prices up, and when that
She's
happens,
freezing.
oh, hi, am I back? Uh-oh. I'm green here. Oh, Joe. Okay, Joe's the one who has his internet connection is poor. Oh no, he dropped out. Okay, so while we are waiting for him, but yeah, it's just going to impact us on so many levels. Um, Yeah. So it's going to
Okay.
drive the prices. Hi, Joe. Welcome back. So it's going to just drive prices up, and that will impact like expenditure, and things like that. So while you may not have to worry about it yet, your
Yeah.
parents will. Yeah. Um, so yeah. But you know, so how do you do that? When I first heard that, I was just like, oh God, like why do people have to go to war? It's, I don't know, kind of
Just
silly.
less time for it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. And I won't comment on what I think about it because we will never ever know the true story. But
Yeah.
what I will take a stand on is I'm kind of anti-war on on this level. However, but here's the gray area as well. If you are being bullied by somebody, right? I'm not saying Russia is or anything like that, but where peace doesn't work is, say, if someone keeps like smacking you on the head, poking fun at you, and just hitting you, just because they want to make you feel small. If someone is actually bullying you,
Mm.
it is okay to fight back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being peaceful and being a pacifist works pretty much 80% of the time. But if you're in a situation where it's 20%, yeah, you
Mm.
might need to fight back. Yeah. So I was told like so that was an analogy that was shared with Mila about it. If we have time, I'll share later. But it has to do with being a koi fish and being a dolphin.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. A friend shared this with me, and it applies for business. But I also think it's a good lesson in life. Mm,
Mm.
yeah, because yeah, I I don't think if people are out to get you, then you should know how to fight back as well and know when to
You
fight
know
back.
how to protect yourself. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Don't sit there and take it. Okay,
Mm.
so let's look at what change is. All right. Now, change is, I think, really scary for people.
Yeah,
Like I'm
most of the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty adaptable, but if I had to put myself on a scale here, between like super adaptable and like super rigid,
Mm.
I'm probably here-ish, a little
In the
bit more
middle.
to the
Oh,
rigid
okay.
side. Yeah, because I don't like being put on the spot.
Mm.
Yeah, so that tells me that I'm more probably leaning here. Yeah, if you told me to give an impromptu speech, I will suffer. Can't
Really?
freestyle dance, that's for sure. Yes. So there we go. Yeah. So I can't freestyle. So you just need to know where you are. So the first thing is that the thing about change is that it's always going to happen,
Yep.
right? There's the quote that says the only thing constant in life is change,
Change.
and that's not comforting at all,
Yeah.
especially like if you're here. But the thing is that what you want to what I want to share here is the more rigid you are about it, the more you try and control uh, you know, uh, change from happening because it's a constant thing, right?
Yes.
That's like um, that's like trying to stop the wind with your bare hands or to
Mm.
stop water from flowing out of a tap. When it's turned on. Yeah, it's
Mm.
like trying to stop wind from blowing or water from flowing. So yeah, but the thing is that this is a very difficult concept for people to accept. Yeah, it's difficult for us humans to accept
Yeah.
because it exposes us to so much more. Like it feels very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Dealing with it can be vulnerable, especially if you've never kind of experienced it before, and
Mm.
your body is wired to react a certain way when something unfamiliar happens. So it's normally like freeze, fight, or flight.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like, so as an example, it's like some people when change happens, they get very aggressive. So that's their fight response. Yeah. Some of us freeze, we don't know what to do.
Paralyzed. Shock.
Yeah, and some of us try to avoid it as much
Mm.
as we can, right?
Mm.
So so if those of you, like think about where you're at with it, and let us know in the comments. Are you the type who freezes, who fights, or do you like run
Run
away?
away.
Yeah. And the thing is that there's no shade to anybody. I'm not putting down anybody. It's just the way we are built.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are designed as human beings, and it's okay. Yeah, what you want to do is to recognize it so that you can catch yourself. Yeah, the better you get at it, you can actually catch yourself with it. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to put here constant change. Yeah. So nothing prepares you for what's about, the new thing that's going to come into your life. Yeah. And the other thing about life is that there are layers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Constantly there are layers. So, you have, I'm going to draw it here. You have your life, right? And then you have your relationships around you, right?
Mhm.
And then beyond that, you have businesses or the community around you, and then close to you, and then this is the outer community as well, right? And then basically what happens here in the world
Yeah.
at large, right? So we're all interconnected. So whatever's happening in Russia and Ukraine, it's happening at this layer,
Mm.
right? And it can be disturbing because it ripples inwards. So you notice that it is kind of a ripple, right? Your action can impact other people, and basically whatever other people are doing could impact you too, right? Yeah, on some level, because it's so interconnected in the air. Yeah, so
Mm.
that's why sometimes it feels like a lot to take in. Yeah, because something could happen here. This is global, and then say you had a falling out with your best friends at the same time, failed, and
Mm.
you yourself are coping with like getting into trouble because you didn't study for an exam, so your parents are mighty mad at you and you're grounded per se. So all these things. Then we had COVID, so that's why it feels like a lot. Okay, so just recognize that. Again, we're gonna jump into ways on how you can actually deal with change.
Mm.
Okay? Yeah, these are things I wish I learned. Yeah, earlier. Yep. Okay, Joe. So what is the first tip that you would say?
Don't forget to breathe.
Step one is breathe. Okay. Now this seems very arbitrary, but you're a human being. You
Yeah.
exist on oxygen. If,
Yeah.
if someone were to cut that off, you would die almost immediately. So you want to be able to breathe. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to draw a thingy here. All right. Now, what breathing does is that it gives you, in a time of chaos, though, sometimes this is very difficult to remember, but it is the most helpful. Yeah, if you just take a pause and go, okay,
A
and then
deep breath. Yeah.
yeah, deep breath and go, then that's fine. Yeah, but if you do have time to analyze, Joe did bring up a good point earlier, because if it's a small change, this is easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a big change like say COVID,
Mm.
right? It's not so easy. So there's a inverse relationship, right? The smaller the change, the easier it is to adapt. But the bigger the change, then of course it is.
Harder.
Is it inverse? No, actually it's in proportion. So the bigger the change, the harder it is to adapt for some people. Yeah, for a lot of people actually. Yeah.
Mm.
So there we go. Yeah. So the first step is to breathe. Okay. Now the next step is very hard. It's challenging for people. Uh, I'm gonna call it, okay. Yeah. Now this one is hard because um, acceptance is not okay. So I got to define this a bit. Acceptance is not surrender. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like I give up.
Oh my flag.
Yeah, I wave the red flag. This is a blue flag, but you guys get what I mean, right? Yeah. So it's not. That's what it's not. Okay. It's more. It's more. All right. I'm feeling shitty about the whole thing.
Yep.
I don't feel I can actually cope with this. I don't believe in myself.
Mm.
I really hate where I am. It sucks, right? It feels like it's going to be very difficult to cope with the situation.
Mm.
Uh, and then accept the fact also that you're probably not going to respond to it, react to it favorably.
Mm.
Yeah, because the more you resist something, let me just draw a wall here. Okay, so the more you resist something, okay, all right, the more you resist something, the larger it actually grows.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, something. Yeah, it is. It is acknowledging it first, and then accepting. Yeah, thanks, teacher Charles. Yeah, that's a better way to put it. Yeah. So, science, if you acknowledge it as a wall in front of you, then the wall won't become so big in your mind in that
yeah.
sense. But the more you resist it, it's like, for example, if you're feeling lazy, right? Normally, when my students tell me that, my first response to them is good, and then they're like,
They can't cope with it.
they're like, you're a teacher. Why are you telling me that laziness is good? Because the thing is that if you keep saying it's a bad thing and you resist it, it just makes it harder. You're gonna use a lot of willpower to try and overcome it. Because
Yeah.
every time you resist it, it grows larger, right? So it means that you need more energy, lor, to get over it. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, and that's a gift. Honestly, there is a gift to being lazy. They say if you want to get something done fast and simply, give it to a lazy person because they'll find the quickest, simplest way to do it.
that's what we call working smart.
Yeah, they'll probably work smart. Okay, more than likely, depending. Okay, so this one disclaimer: look at the attitude. Yeah, so there are lazy people with a good attitude, and there are, and there are there are lazy people with a really horrible attitude, and they'll probably just do enough, and you know, make your project work suffer or your work life suffer.
Uh, this this happen when it comes to group projects. Right?
Yes. Yes. So the thing also about acknowledging it and accepting it, I'm going to write it down here. All right. The other thing about acknowledging it and accepting it is that if you acknowledge that, hey, I'm dealing with fire,
Yeah.
you will take action appropriately to fire, right? But if you keep denying, like, it's not fire, it's not hot, you know, like, don't worry, the house is not burning fast. Like, the house is not burning down or whatever, right?
Mm.
What's going to happen, right? You lack the urgency. You probably you probably not use water, or to basically like put out the fire. And then if you don't accept it, so you won't think about like, oh, did the fire start because of paper, or is it
Mm.
because of electricity or chemicals? Because can you imagine if it's chemical, electricity, or oil, for example, you go and pour water, it's going to make things worse, right?
Yeah.
So this gives you clarity over the situation. Yeah, and also acknowledging what's around you. All right, that's just the first step. A lot of people tend to do that, but then what's also acknowledging what's inside you as well is equally
Mm.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it gives you courage to find out what's next,
Yes.
acknowledging it. Mm.
Yes. And oftentimes change triggers the difficult to feel emotions.
Mm.
Yeah. So like happiness is easy, joy is easy, but what happens when you're feeling angry, or the hardest ones to feel are shame and guilt.
Mm.
Yeah. And then apathy, where it's like, I don't care lah, you do whatever lah. Yeah. So that's a defense against feeling like anger or sadness or anything like that. People who get into that. So there are levels. There are levels of emotions. We will post a link below. In our comments, yeah, to basically show you guys as this level, and every level has like an energy or a vibration. So like anger, although it can be scary, it's also good because anger it gives a person enough energy to do something about the situation that they're in. Yeah, whereas if you're in like guilt or shame, it's very difficult to master the energy to like take action.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, these are things that we only learn later. Yeah, and I wish they teach this in school because this is
Yeah.
basically how to human 101, right? So change brings out all those emotions, and if you don't acknowledge and accept that, hey, I'm feeling this way, right, and you resist. So I'll give you an example. When I make a mistake or when I screw up at something, mm, I tend to so I have a double layer of resistance. Okay, first of all, I try and resist the shame by beating myself up
Mm.
about it mentally. I'll be like, oh, you stupid, like how, like you dumbass, blah blah blah, like you're so dumb. How can you even do this? Da 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 da. So that's me. That I realized recently that that's my mechanism. to actually resist feeling the actual feeling. Like I make myself, or I make myself wrong for feeling that feeling. So, for example, if I feel bad about it,
Mm.
then I'll be like, "Hey, why are you going to feel bad? This kind of thing, or when something changes and I don't like it, because I want to show up as like someone who is like, yeah, very gung ho and adaptable, but actually I don't like it deep down. I'll beat myself up about it. So
Oh.
there's a resistance there. I'll say, stupid lah, why don't you just like go with the flow and all that? But the more I do that, the more miserable I am.
Mm. Yes.
Yes. So this is a very big one here. Yeah, because this one you kind of have to look inside yourself to figure that out.
I think another example would be like, you've been like number one, or you are the first place in the class all this while, yeah, and then suddenly there is this second place that come to your place, and then you suddenly you just get shocked and paralyzed and not knowing what to do, and then start beating yourself up. Like, why am I not getting number one anymore?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when you're so used to it. You're not used to being second best.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's one. Okay. And on the back of that, Joe, that's a great point. I'm gonna put here. Okay. Humans are meaning making machines. So sometimes what paralyzes us from understand so sometimes what paralyzes us from actually coping with the change is because sometimes we land on the meaning about it, about ourselves. So that example that Joe gave, right, about the friend coming in, that person, what meanings do you think this person's landing on? That he feels terrible or like shocked or like, how can this happen, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. What meanings do you think that he could land on about himself?
Hmm.
Could be anything. Yeah. Some people
Enemy.
might say, sorry.
Enemy.
Yeah, this person is now my enemy.
Yeah.
He kicked me off my throne.
Yeah.
Yeah, another meaning, and meanings don't have to be negative. They can also
Yep.
be positive, right? Some people can be like, oh, great, someone here to challenge me to become better,
Yes.
right? Or it could also be a meaning by himself, like, oh man, really, I'm not good enough,
Mm.
and he might just give up,
Yep.
even trying,
Mm.
right? So understand that we do this a lot. Yeah, we make meanings about we just land on meanings. It's
And is it
natural.
me?
I'm not sure. It's all green on my side. Oh no, we're losing Joe again. Sorry guys. Yeah, so this has been helpful to you. Do let me know. Do just let us know in the comments, or subscribe. I know it's very unconventional. I could just tell you like be adaptable. You know, be adaptable. Cope with change or whatever it is. But we wanted to, I guess we always try to make these steps as actionable as possible. Yeah. Hi, Joe. Welcome back.
Yeah, I dropped out a bit, I think.
Yeah. At first, like it was all green, and then suddenly it dropped to red, and I was just like, "Oh no, I think you have
Oh,
connection."
okay.
Yeah. So I was just telling, I was just sharing with the audience that for our side, we try to give we try and give like tips that are very actionable instead of
Mm.
like we could have told them like, oh, be adaptable, understand change is constant, cope, here are some coping mechanisms and stuff. I mean, this is a coping mechanism, but we wanted it to be very like doable
Mm.
for people. Yeah. So yeah, so instead of telling you, I'm gonna show you what you can actually do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when change happens, right, and then you're probably thinking like you probably land on a meaning about yourself, no matter what.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. And if you do, again, come back to this, identify the meaning.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna put here identify. I'm gonna put here.
Resistance.
Yep. Okay. I'm gonna draw a little eyeball here.
Mm.
Yeah. So identifying the meaning you land on, because sometimes meanings. So I was at a personal development course recently, and they deal a lot with identifying meanings about people, because sometimes when people and one thing you guys have to remember, that if you do land on one, it's not your fault. All right,
Mm.
it's just how humans are meaning
How
making. Yeah, it's bound to happen. We're meaning making machines. Okay, so we dealt a lot with like how to identify it. Yeah, because once you do, then it's easier to kind of make the change. So sometimes, like, when change happens, then you might think like, oh, I'm not good enough, or it might be like, see, I'm not good enough, that's why. Again, is that really true, or is that a meaning that you've landed on?
Mm.
Yeah, because meanings that people land on, right? Some people carry, everyone, like, there are meanings where like people carry it with them all their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they land on a meaning. An example would be, mm, I guess a simple example in school would be, say, you, um, okay, okay, I'll share an example, I guess. Like for me when I was in high school,
Mm.
because the way I was brought up is very different. As you can see, like, these are very unconventional methods. My mom was very unconventional, so we spoke English and things like that. And I wasn't exactly like, people, I think, were intimidated by me. So because in government school, like, in public school, you like, if you speak English well, people find it intimidating. They do, like it or not. Yeah, and I guess, is that a good example? Okay, I guess, like, what happened was that, sorry, cancel that. But what happened was that, I had a falling out with my friends.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a falling out with my friends because I think I wasn't, because they were at the stage where they were exploring cutting school.
Ah.
Yeah, and you know, uh, I guess, like, being held by boys in ways where I'm just like, please don't. Like, it gives me goosebumps in a bad way. Like the guy would hold, that friend under her chin, and she'll gaze in his eyes like he's the most, but he's like the boy who, gets expelled like every so often, or
Oh.
gets suspended every so often. Um, so yeah, so for me, I love my mom. She's a
Mm.
great mom. She's not like an unreasonable parent. And I thought, like, man, if I did those things, it would break her heart.
Mm.
So when I started saying no to them, then I noticed that there was a change in treatment to me. So how many of you here, when you start saying no to people you're close to in your life, then some of them react quite badly, right? If you've ever been in there, let us know in the comments. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I noticed that they only were nice to me, or actually spoke to me when they needed something from me.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah, and that hurt, man. That hurt.
Mm.
Um, so I think, so the meaning I landed on was that I was not likable.
Mm.
Yeah, like, or like, I would have to work very hard to get people to like me.
Right.
Yeah. So, guess what happened? Like, through my friendships, then, I get really, like, and then also, the meaning I landed on was that, popular kids are assholes. So I spent like my whole, like, college life, like, going like, you know yeah, like, if I see a popular kid, whoa, 180. I'll go the other way. I don't want to have anything to do with that. I mean, I'll just be like on, like, hi bye terms, because I
Mm.
don't want to get into that drama. But
Yep.
I would also never, but I would also kind of scorn them from afar. It's just my way of, like, coping with the change that happened in high school. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So, and then also, I guess, because I had that meaning that, oh, I'm a very difficult person to like, right? Mm, it took me about 9 years, like, to just kind of deal with that,
Ah.
so, yeah, I'm not a likable person, right? So that's the meaning I landed on.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's just that I wasn't likable to people who wanted me to just follow them whatever they did, in spite of whatever they did. Yeah. So You see, we carry that with us.
Okay.
Yeah. So I hope this serves you guys. If there's any, how many of you here also, like sometimes you make a meaning about yourself based on what your friends say or what people say about you.
What other people say.
Yeah. If you do that, I just want you to know it's normal.
Yeah.
Very normal. It's not nice. It's not the most pleasant thing, but it's very, very normal. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm. Okay. But when we can breathe, acknowledge and accept it, it allows us to identify, yeah, and identify like whatever meanings that we're landing on, right? It allows us to be able to cope with change a
Yeah.
whole lot better. Yeah. And it sounds like a really long process, but your mind works really fast and fires really fast. So this is a muscle that you can train. These steps you can train.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can tell you this from experience. Yeah. And the best person who does this is sitting, you know, and the other screen.
What? Me?
Yeah, Joe. Yeah, in chaos, because we go for this training called frontier.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and
Mental
in chaos,
training.
when Joe steps in the chaos, people are like, oh, everyone needs a Joe in their lives because he brings. I think he unconsciously does this, so he brings that with him. Like he doesn't like when because we do these games where sometimes they will up the stakes so much that it can leave your team in shambles, right?
Mm.
So with Joe, he never like he'll breathe, right? I noticed that he'll breathe. He will start going like, okay, so what's going on, right? And
Mm.
he doesn't make it wrong, right? He sees that, oh, there's a disaster here, this thing has broken down there, two people are fighting in the corner there. He's like, okay, so he accepts the situation. He doesn't make it bad, right? And then he moves on. Oh, you're welcome, teacher Charles. um, and then he moves into and then he moves into this. He identifies the problems, he identifies like whatever meanings people could be landing on, and just deal with it. Yeah, I
Mm.
think he doesn't really land on meanings about himself, like in those situations. So I think that's good. But for those who do, this is a very important step.
I really don't care, I think. I mean, even if I did it wrong, I just need to get it done.
Yes. Yeah. So
If it's
he's a,
wrong,
he's a
so be it.
yes. So I really admire that about Joe. It's an amazing thing. I sometimes like panic, and then I do this a lot, and it cripples me in those situations.
Um,
Sometimes also I cannot accept. Like I cannot accept that, oh, I'm feeling stressed, right? I'll try and force myself to feel calm because it's
mm.
wrong to be stressed out in this situation, right? But guess what? The more you make yourself wrong for being stressed out, woo, you just
The
add
more
more
pressure
stress.
you get.
Yes, because the resistance is like, it grows in proportion. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I hope the examples that we've shared with you guys, how many, like, and I also want to ask, like, how many of you guys here have been in that situation where you tell yourself, don't stress out, but then you get more stressed, or, the best one is, how many of you here where you see your parents interact with each other, your dad and your mom, right? Say they're fighting, and then your dad says, don't be emotional. And then your mom is like, I'm not emotional. Because because as a female, I guess we know we are, and
Mm.
then when you tell us not to be, it's very difficult. And so that's why you garner that reaction. So for those of you who probably wondering about it, I think
Yeah.
that's why. Like for me, I think that's why. Yeah. So when someone tells me to calm down, right, I'm like, I will snap at that person. Yeah, because you can't switch your emotions right like straight
No.
away. Yeah. So yeah, we kind of went a bit over time, guys. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us. We really appreciate those of you who came around and stayed around. We hope this helped you as well. Yeah. And for those of you, if you like what we're saying, and you think that, hey, you need like a dose of motivation or inspiration or like compassion, yeah, in your study life or in your school life, join us. Yeah, join us. We're on every week except for last week because everyone was like down with COVID or like different people were like quarantined and stuff like that, so it was chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so but we're basically on every week unless we announce otherwise. Yeah. So we hope this is very helpful for you guys. And if you ever need like someone to talk to, you can just DM us, ask us anything. We're fine. We mean it when we say that this is a safe space. Yeah, I know it's in YouTube. So those of you who are a bit shy to ask questions in public, feel free to DM us. Yeah, Teacher Charles says reminds me of Luke Skywalker from Star Wars. Thinks of his friends first before himself. About Joe. Yeah, actually, Joe is like that. Yeah, it's really funny. I have stories to share
But
about Joe.
I do have like moments of
Yes.
pressure that
Yeah.
it's not showing out on like the other.
Yeah, he has moments also where one thing I like about Joe is that he has moments where he's balanced. Yeah, if it's like he'll be compassionate up until the point where the person like kind of like takes advantage of it.
Mm.
I guess. Yeah, you can tell that they're taking advantage of it or they're not appreciative of it, and then he'll.
I will
Yeah.
just shut down basically. Ding, ding, ding.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So cool. Yeah. Thanks for sticking overtime with us. Woo, this is our longest one yet. We normally try and keep it within half an hour because short attention spans, right?
Bye.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. We will see you next week. Yes.
Bye.